Welcome to Frankly Speaking the News. Today I'm bringing you a very serious story, and there's several facets to this story. We're going to begin with what's happening in Afghanistan. Please like and subscribe to our channel and share this. I'm your host, Frank Masdeu, and I'm going to bring you this story now. So in Afghanistan, we're very concerned and we're praying for all the service personnel and the military that's there, along with the civilians and all those Afghanis that helped us during the 20 years that we occupied Afghanistan. It's a real tragedy. It's a horrific situation. We're very, very sorry about this. We're heartbroken and praying for those families. And we're also praying for those families of those that are still left behind. We're praying that somehow, some way, this administration can get the folks out before there's any more carnage in Afghanistan. So our prayers go out to your families. Now, I want to share this with you because I also want to share with you that this presents an opportunity for those who are in conflict with the United States, an opportunity for those who are our enemy, those who are coming after us, and in particular, China. Now, you know that because of the cerveza sickness, we've had all kinds of issues in the United States. We've had lockdowns, we've had economic turmoil. We are now facing a variant of this cerveza sickness that is running through various states. We are now also facing the lifting of a moratorium on evictions, so there are going to be people out on the streets. Our economy is in shambles, and we are now being managed by a cognitively impaired president who's in decline and an administration who's incompetent. We don't know who exactly is running this country, but you can be rest assured that our president is in decline cognitively. He is impaired. He's got serious issues. So this is also known to the rest of the world and those foes of America that would like to hurt and harm. The other thing that I want to share with you that should also awaken you, and again, this is something that's very important as well, is that now China has launched massive war exercises near Taiwan. We have sent 3 carrier groups through the Taiwanese Straits, along with the British carrier group, for the freedom of navigation through the Taiwan Straits. We have the Quad, which is India, Australia, Japan, and the United States, and several other countries that are helping participate to protect that area. So that's what's going on in the Indo-Pacific. China is preparing now massive war exercises because they're intent on reunifying with Taiwan. The exiled government of China, when Mao Zedong took over, is in Taiwan, and they want to reunify with Taiwan. Now, granted, you have to understand, Taiwan is the largest, I think they are the largest manufacturer of microchips, and they would cripple our country because we purchase a great deal of our computer technology and microchips from Taiwan. So the Taiwanese are on pins and needles as they see these incursions into their airspace, which are happening daily. There's reconnaissance planes, fighter jets, naval vessels doing all kinds of incursions into Taiwanese airspace and Taiwanese waters. So the thing is getting really hot. I also want to bring to your attention something very interesting from the Daily Mail, which is eye-opening. And this is from the Daily Mail on the 28th of August, Saturday. Here we go. China was preparing for a third world war with biological weapons, including coronavirus, 6 years ago, according to the dossier produced by the People's Liberation Army in 2015 and uncovered by the United States State Department. Beijing has considered the military potential of SARS coronavirus since 2015. The bombshell document was assessed by the U.S. State Department investigators. Scientists examined manipulation of diseases in ways never seen before. Foreign Affairs Committee's Tom Tughout says evidence is a major concern. So anybody who would doubt that we were hit with a biological weapon with the cerveza sickness illness and its variants, this is a wake-up call for you. This is a wake-up call. We're now a country in decline. Our economy is in shambles. We're a rudderless nation. Our military is incompetent. We're not even able to get our soldiers out. Our logistics are horrible. The economy's in terrible shape. The moratorium has been lifted on evictions. We have a huge unemployment rate. We're just in a very weakened position, and we have a cognitively impaired president with an administration and a Congress and a Senate that has been highly influenced by the Chinese. We have basically every branch of our government has been influenced by the Chinese government. So the Taiwanese are pinning their hopes on America to come to her defense. And I'm sad to say, I don't know that would happen. I am very saddened to say, I don't think the United States has the moral fortitude to engage in protecting Taiwan or the Indo-Pacific. And when I say that, I don't say that loosely, because once Taiwan is gone, look to Australia, look to New Zealand, look at Japan. Japan would be another target, and India, which is part of the Quad. India's having skirmishes on their border with China. Look to a full-out skirmishes becoming full-out war with the Chinese. That's a real possibility. So the question becomes, how would China pull this off? Because the United States has nuclear weapons, but we all know that the United States will not go to war and use nuclear weapons with China. And we know the Chinese want to avoid nuclear war. So in this presentation today, I want to share with you something that happened in 1963 that could enlighten you into what to look for next. In particularly, since we have a deadline in Afghanistan of the 31st to get all our soldiers and people out, if there continues to be chaos in Afghanistan, you could see something like this happen very quickly. So let's go look at it. And this is going back in history, but this will show you what we're talking about.
TV's Finest Hours remembers October 22nd, 1962, and America's first nuclear crisis.
There was a great air of mystery. Some people said it involved Cuba, but that's all we knew.
The mood at the White House was certainly one of impending doom. It was as close as this country's ever come to nuclear war.
On October 22nd, 1962, the President of the United States requested time on all networks. From the White House, President Kennedy intended to deliver an international ultimatum using television.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island.
I remember sitting there, listening to John F. Kennedy say what to my ears was, there's a very good chance that the United States and the Soviet Union will be involved in a nuclear war.
We will not prematurely or unnecessarily risk the course of worldwide nuclear war, in which even the fruits of victory would be ashes in our mouth. But neither will we shrink from that risk at any time it must be faced.
We had an invasion planned. One of the pool responsibilities I had was being on the invasion force on the command ship that was going to invade Cuba.
I was to be the television radio pool correspondent that was supposed to go away with the president in case of an evacuation, and I was to let the White House know where I was 24 hours a day.
President Kennedy ordered a naval blockade of Cuba, a move he termed a quarantine, and he waited for the Russians' response.
All I knew is that I was gravely concerned, my colleagues were gravely concerned, and the people we had to deal with that week, those we could talk to, and those were not many, were all very, very concerned.
Television focused on the United Nations, where U.S. Ambassador Adlai Stevenson pressed the Soviets.
All right, sir. Let me ask you one simple question. Do you, Ambassador Zorin, deny that the USSR has placed and is placing medium and intermediate range missiles and sites in Cuba? Yes or no? Don't wait for the translation. Yes or no?
Я не нахожусь в американском суде.
I'm not I am not in an American courtroom, sir, and therefore I do not wish to answer a question that is put to me in the fashion in which a prosecutor does. In due course, sir, you will have your reply.
I'm prepared to wait for my answer until hell freezes over, if that's your decision.
Behind Stevenson's brave words were spy plane photographs of the Soviet missile sites in Cuba.
The message was transmitted instantly by television. Television news showed the pictures of the missile launchers, of the missile sites, and of the missiles themselves.
And then the Soviets sent signals for a settlement. One of those messages came from a Soviet official by way of a television reporter.
We sat down in a rather cold and tense atmosphere, and he immediately came to the point.
So to summarize what we just witnessed, what we just showed you was a clip from 1963 about the missiles of October and the nuclear missile crisis off the shores of the United States, off the shores of Florida, 90 miles away in Cuba, and how it was handled by the United States and the world. As the world looked on, the USSR had planted nuclear missiles on the shores of Cuba. Apparently, they claimed it was for defensive purposes, but they were offensive missiles. So the United States had to decide, how are we going to handle the situation? John Kennedy, in a stroke of brilliance, decided that rather than engage in a kinetic war, he would put a naval blockade around the island of Cuba to keep resources from entering the island and further missiles from entering the island and being fully developed and operational. So at that point, cooler heads prevailed, and through back channels, including a reporter in the United States dealing with the USSR directly with one of their ambassadors, they came up with a plan. The plan was really simple. The plan was, you remove your missiles in Turkey, and you remove your nuclear arsenal in Turkey, and we'll move the missiles off the coast and take them off the island of Cuba, the nuclear missiles, and disband them. And this could all be verified via satellite. So that's what actually took place. The reason I brought this to your attention is because I believe that we're looking at a similar scenario in the Indo-China Pacific, where you're going to see the Chinese implement a naval blockade around the island of Taiwan. And you may be asking, to what purpose? Well, here's the purpose. They want to choke off any supplies and materials that could make their way to the island, basically daily commodities, food, water, resources, materials. And what they're going to do is challenge the international community to see if they have the will, the fortitude, and a way to run the blockade, and see if they're willing to risk a kinetic war against China. Now that they see that the United States is a weakened adversary, that they see that we have a cognitively impaired president, that we have people behind the scenes that are actually running the government. We don't know who that might be, but it seems like everybody in the Obama administration is in the Biden administration, so I suspect Obama is running the government. This is, in effect, a de facto third term for the Obama administration. So China sees a great opening here, and they see that window beginning to close as the 2022 elections start to approach, and we're getting into election season. So I would bet, not the farm, but I would venture to wager that you're going to see the Chinese implement a similar strategy. They've got a large enough naval armada that they could surround the island of Taiwan, put up a blockade, and challenge the international community to see if they're willing to run the blockade, including the United States, India, Australia, and Japan. Now that India, Australia, and Japan have seen the United States at its weakest and understands that the United States lacks the moral fortitude or the courage to stand up to China or the Afghanistan Taliban, I think what you're going to see is that whole coalition will immediately disband once it's confronted with a decision and tension. So I look to see in the next coming weeks, maybe months, for that to begin to happen. You already know that there's training taking place for land invasion into Taiwan. I think the first option is going to be the naval blockade, and I expect we'll see that fairly soon. And I expect that, true to form, Joe Biden will move the aircraft carriers away from that area and into the Middle East. And you'll see that that will be left vulnerable, and the Australians will be left vulnerable, so will the Japanese, and so will India. They'll all be left to fend for themselves. So with that being said, I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope that you like it. Share it, subscribe to our channel, hit the alarm bell so that you'll get the alerts as they come up, and have a wonderful week and a blessed day. Thank you. Thank you for watching.